that book by Dr. Seuss called Wacky Wednesday? Well, I'm going to call this Freaky Friday. Now, I think we've got some serious MK Ultra going on. There's no other explanation. And if you have a different and more logical explanation than I can come up with the MK Ultra, please drop it in the comments below when you like and subscribe. Watch this.
I'm sorry for what all of you have been through. So I want to say thank you and honor your voices and honor what you're doing. Ms. Ori, if I could just turn to you. You were President Biden's pardon attorney, is that correct?
I was the Justice Department's pardon attorney.
You made clemency recommendations to the White House whether or not to pardon inmates, is that correct?
My job was to make clemency recommendations.
And in that capacity, you recommended that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, grant clemency to all 40 federal death row inmates, all of them, clear them out, correct?
Sir, as I told Chairman Grassley, I'm not free to discuss the recommendations.
Well, that's what your memo says. I mean, we have your memo. Your memo of November 4th, 2024 says, and I quote, disparity and undue severity of sentence, which are present in many, if not all of these cases, have been recognized as grounds for clemency. And you went on to recommend in that memo and a series of other memos that are now recorded and public record that the President of the United States grant clemency to murderers, rapists, and the most horrible offenders, all of them, clear death row completely out. I'm amazed you've been called here today. I'm absolutely amazed by it. But let's just talk about the people who you recommended. You talk about honoring victims. The people who you recommended get clemency and live at the expense and sufferance of taxpayers for the rest of their lives. Let's start with Dylann Roof. Dylann was a neo-Nazi who murdered 9 African-American worshipers at a Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina, 2015. Do you remember this case?
I do remember it very well.
I would hope you did. Here's his victims. Do you want to look at them? There they are. 9 of them at a Bible study in a church, killed in cold blood. The DOJ knew from day one that he had decided, I'm going to quote from the prosecutors, decided to attack African Americans because of their race. He further decided to attack African American worshipers in a black church in order to make his attack more notorious. More notorious. And yet you recommended that he be granted clemency, live at the expense of taxpayers for the rest of his life, substitute your judgment for that of the American judicial system. Do you stand by that recommendation today?
Sir, I'm not going to comment on the recommendations that I made, but I can tell you that Mr. Roof is going to die in prison as...
Oh, he's going to live in prison for a very long time because of you, because of your recommendations. And here's what you said in your memo of October 30th, 2024. You said that actually Roof is not a compelling candidate for clemency, but you recommended it anyway. Why? Because he suffered from anxiety, you said. Right? He suffered from anxiety. Did it ever occur to you that maybe the family of his victims might suffer a little bit of anxiety because he marched into their church and murdered them in cold blood because he was an incredible racist and he wanted to get on TV?
Sir.
Do you regret it?
I'm not going to comment on the recommendations
Do you regret it?
that I made to the president.
Let's talk about Robert Bowers, a man who regularly spewed such vile hatred of Jews, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. He barged into a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018 and he shot everybody he could find, killing 11 innocent people who were there to worship. A federal jury in Pittsburgh unanimously recommended the death sentence after finding him guilty on 63 counts. Here they are. They're his victims. Take a good look. You recommended clemency for this person who went in and killed these people just because they're Jews. The other guy killed people just because they're black. This guy killed people just because they're Jews. A jury recommended that he be sentenced to death, and you substituted your judgment for theirs, and now he's going to live. Are you proud of that?
Sir, what I am proud of is the fact that I took my job as pardon attorney extremely seriously.
Apparently not seriously enough. You certainly didn't take the victims seriously. Then there's Jorge Avila Torres, who wasn't just a murderer. He was a serial killer and a rapist.
Sir,
Here is who he assaulted and killed. He sexually assaulted and killed 8-year-old Laura Hobbs and 9-year-old Crystal Tobias in a Chicago suburb in 2005. And then 4 years after that, he committed another murder. He slaughtered a fellow service member, Navy Petty Officer Amanda Snell, in 2009 while she was in her barracks. That's what he did. And you recommended clemency for this individual, and now he'll live his life at the expense of taxpayers because you substituted your judgment for that of the American judicial system, jury, judges, the whole lot, and yet you're here to tell us that you're somehow a victim? I don't think so, Ms. Oyer. I think your judgment is astoundingly terrible. I'm amazed that this side of the aisle has called you, and I just ask my friends on this side of the aisle, do you agree with this? Is this what you want? Do you want these people to be pardoned and live at the expense of taxpayers for their whole lives? Do you want to excuse the murders of African American churchgoers? Do you want to excuse the murders of Jews in their synagogues? Do you want to excuse the murders of these children? Because that's what she did, and now she's online hawking products to try to make money off of it. I see you've got your own website where you put your face on baseball caps and mugs, thelawyeroyer.com. You're trying to make money on this?
Sir,
This is unbelievable, Ms. Oyer, and yet you say you're a victim? These are the victims, and you helped victimize them. And what you're doing is wrong. I hope every member on this side of the aisle will repudiate what you have done and what you stand for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, I assume that your questions directed at me were rhetorical and that you're giving...
They're not rhetorical at all. I asked you to respond and you said you wouldn't. So what I did is I read to you what you have said. I quoted verbatim. And I'm happy to keep doing it. In fact, I'd ask now, Mr. Chairman, that this report, Restoring and Strengthening the Federal Death Penalty Report, be entered into the record. It contains information regarding Ms. Oyer, her recommendations, and the track record of all of it. The written records are here. I ask to be entered into the record.
It'll be, Ms. Hoyer, take a minute to respond if you want to.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. Under President Biden, just like under President Trump, had a job to do, which was to make recommendations to the president about how to best accomplish their clemency objectives. I put the utmost effort into doing that in a way that was consistent with the interests of the justice system and all of its stakeholders, which includes crime victims, as well as defendants, as well as family members, as well as judges, as well as prosecutors, all criminal justice system stakeholders. The process that I presided over was one that was beyond reproach. What's happening now with clemency is an absolute disgrace, and I'm sorry that I can't answer the questions about the specific recommendations in this public setting, but I would be glad to meet with any members of this committee who have concerns privately to discuss to the extent I can what your
Privately, why don't
concerns
you
are.
meet with the victims' families? Here's the disgrace.
Senator Whitehouse.
Oh my God. What the hell? And she was defending it. She like what Josh Hawley was just saying wasn't absolutely unbelievably demonic. Not one person, not two people, not even three, no, 9, 10, 11. What? And this lady, and she's defending. That's what I'm saying. There has to be some brainwashing going on there. That's not normal. Not normal. President Trump said that he trusts President Xi. I don't believe that. I think Trump's got something up his sleeve because he knows what China's been doing to us. There's no way. Oh, we do the stuff to them too. No, no, no. Not like old China. They're like water. They seep through every single crack they could find. They won't leave us alone. We don't go over there and buy their land. We don't go over there and live. We don't go over there and take their jobs. We don't go over there and go to their schools. What the hell? Why are they here and up in our shit in every aspect of our lives, of our government? This is ridiculous, dude. These foreigners. This never used to be this way in the 80s and 90s. It was never like this. There was nothing like this. Nothing. Just the fruit pickers. That was it. That's all that we had. I can't believe this. I mean, all these different ethnicities were never here. And then they started with the dothead with the convenience stores. And then that's when the Indians, the ones that poop on the ground in their country. And then I guess they did the H-1B, and there went our jobs, and got a Muslim from Africa that forged a birth certificate, infiltrated our government, and made the American people suffer because he hates us. And that's what they do. People that hate us, that infiltrate our government, aren't going to do anything nice to the American people, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican. If you're an American and they're a foreigner, they were born somewhere else, they come here, get citizenship, and try to run in our government, and they want communism or socialism or try to change our ways of life instead of improving our way of life and helping give a hand up and not a hand out, then they don't have our best interests at heart. And what the hell are they doing in our government? These liberal, crazy people, lunatic women, they did something to them. They had to have. How can these women be like that? And that lady acknowledged the fact that she was trying to get clemency for mass murderers. She didn't even acknowledge that there's something wrong there. Something got switched off somehow. And I think we need to look a little bit more into this, because what the fuck? We can't have people like that. I am just floored. That when I heard that, when I saw what you just saw, that just floored me. So we've got major issues with China, but China sure has been getting some really bad weather. They had a double tornado inland where they never have. In, I guess, the Shandong or whatever area is where, like, they do all their manufacturing. Like, it's their Amazon district, basically. It's their dam broke. I think 4 dams have broken in the interior of China. And the scenes are horrific. Watch this.
This is real. Crazy. This isn't a tourist destination. We were like, this is AI. No, we ran up through AI fact check. It's just bad quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a real tourist destination. Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. The flooding hasn't stopped.
No. So Sichuan's been hit with flooding and all that kind of stuff too. But here we had, in that Tofu joint, but here we have massive subway fire. It was like right outside
the subway station. Yeah.
Apparently it was a factory of sorts. But right outside the subway station again. And this has actually happened multiple times, where a factory behind or next to a subway station in Chengdu is
It's weird.
I don't get why.
Yeah. Oh, you know what it probably is? They probably store crappy chemicals and stuff, and they use the subway as their like transportation. That's why they put it here there, so they can bring in.
It would be like really convenient.
Yeah.
You have big buckets.
Yeah, big buckets of like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something. I'm going to show the Nesquik River today.
Just a little.
Okay.
Fujian, so eastern China just got absolutely wiped out.
Yeah.
Fujian, a huge manufacturing hub in China, not a rural place in the mountains of Guizhou or something.
Yes.
This is a place where stuff's being made, so this is going to China.
Again, apologies for people who think this is just the same old stuff, but it's not. This is still, the flooding has continued, and parts of China that weren't affected previously are now affected, and parts that were also affected have been affected again. So, it dried up and they took a bunch of stuff out, and then more floods came again.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff.
It's just like Yangpu is all full of water right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're a shining beacon of international, partnership.
Shining, yeah, that's definitely the shining beacon of its flames.
Factories even going up in Shanghai, and that is, again, it's not a good look. Right?
Yeah.
China's supposed to be this kind of replacement for the U.S. in the global order and manufacturing and all this kind of stuff it claims to be.
Yeah.
And it's just going up in flames, quite literally. I mean, last week I think we probably had 10 factory fires or something.
Yeah, we've lost count at this point.
I mean, yeah, and we're hopefully there's somebody that's been keeping track and making maps and stuff. Every now and then I think they'll send them to us, but it's crazy. Loaded everywhere. But it did cause a serious problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, there's lots of fire safety.
And they say the man in a double tornado about a week ago got sucked out of his 12-story apartment, sucked out the window. Holy cow, could you imagine a tornado? You talk about a bad day? That's a bad day. Scam Donnie tried to meet with the Iranians. He's been here 5 minutes, somehow became a naturalized citizen, even though he lied on his application. He said he wasn't affiliated. It asks you specifically if you are affiliated with any foreign terrorist organization. He said no, but yet in his rap song, he's praising the Holy Land Five. Those are the people that blew up the Twin Towers on 9/11 and killed 3,000 Americans for no reason. Innocent people at work. This guy has got to go. We just had another church. This is the fourth church, I guess, in 2 months, burnt down in New York City, the scumbags.
Flames tearing through a church that dates back to the 1800s.
Tonight, the church is no more. Doug Williams is live at the scene with more. Doug.
Dick and Alice want to step out of the way and show you what is still a very active scene here on Bushwick Avenue, as you can see. And the videos you're about to see of this fire and the firefight that ensued are dramatic, but they're just part of the story tonight. People here say their neighborhood has lost a landmark, both literally and figuratively. Cell phone video from the roof of an apartment building across the street shows the steeple of the historic South Bushwick Church swallowed up in flames. The FDNY says they first received a call just before 1:30 this afternoon. It quickly escalated into a 3-alarm fire with nearly 200 first responders called to the scene. And more cell phone video after the FDNY response shows the moments the steeple disappears from view and collapses. One firefighter suffered minor injuries and refused medical attention at the scene. There were no other injuries, but this neighborhood is devastated.
We were all on the roof when it really caught ablaze and the steeple started to fall. So it was awful. This is, we've all been on this block for years, and the people in this neighborhood have been here for decades, and this church was an institution on our block, and so it's really devastating to see a landmark like that go.
When my children was babies, I came to this church. Both of my children was baptized in this church.
This was a landmark church, and many people know this, so this is deeply sad in the community, but we are going to work with this church, work with the community, and build back.
And South Bushwick Church was built and dedicated, according to city records, in 1863, officially landmarked over a century later in 1968. Now, we were just briefed moments ago by the FDNY. They say that thankfully there was nobody in the church at the time of the fire. The cause of it does remain under investigation. However, they do say that there's nothing pointing them to a cause that might be of a suspicious nature. For now, we're live here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Doug Williams, CBS News, New York.
Okay, Doug, thank you. How devastating.
Absolutely.
10%. I told you what he did. He went down and he got these Scuzlum College kids. All you have to do is register 30 days before the election as a resident and you can vote. So he brought a shit ton of them up there, Manhattan and the Bronx, mainly. They used some address, don't know how yet. They registered to vote 90 to 30 days before the mayor's election. And that's why there was a triple spike in the numbers of registration and young people turning out. That's not natural. It's not a good ground game. They cheated. These elections are so freaking rigged in every way. So we got New Jersey. They say 6,600. President Trump said 35,000. I believe President. And we also have Georgia. Is it Georgia? Another city just got caught their voter rolls with tons of illegals on their voter rolls. So this has been going on for a while, ever since fucking Obamination. That infiltrator came into and infiltrated our government with a fake freaking birth certificate. And we have the proof that he forged that birth certificate. But yet, I don't understand why people get arrested for stupidest thing in the whole wide world and get held in jail for like ever. But yet these people are committing crimes, like serious crimes, and they're not even investigated. Like his cook. How did he die? In shallow water? He was a swimmer. Perfect swimmer. He didn't die in water. Not. I think we need some more conspiracy theories. You want to know why? All the other ones came true. And that's about the gist of it. Our eyes are waking up to how horribly corrupt our government has become. These people that we have elected into office. Oh my God. The only reason they're there is to get rich. That's it. They don't give a shit about the American people. Matter of fact, most of them hate us and this country. They just have a good speak game because we're vulnerable and we're gullible, stupid sometimes, and we're not going to believe them anymore, are we? We need to change our way of doing things. Candidates, we got to do big time background checks, but we have YouTube now and a whole bunch of different people are out there putting their voice out for everybody to hear. I mean, the corruption is just holy cow. It's unbelievable, people. Unbelievable. It's so deep. It's so bad in almost every aspect of our government, and we can't get the Save America. I cannot believe that we have the House, the Senate, and the White, and we can't get the leader, John Thune, Senator John Thune. This is the worst feeling ever. I can't believe. I wish I would have been paying attention. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I would have made a difference. And this is the most frustrating thing ever since 2020. I just can't stop my husband thinking I'm obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I'm in shock. I mean, never in my life growing up, been a lot of different places. Never in my life have I seen or heard adults in power and positions of like power that demand respect where you make almost $400,000 a year and they are completely erasing and changing our history and making the founders of this country out to be white supremacists. What in the hell know what that is? This is all about causing division within our country. The fabric. That's what it's all about. We're falling for it. We can't fall because Ford, that scumbag, forged that birth certificate, stole the presidency, infiltrated our presidency, and then put a bunch of fucking Muslim communist jihads in there in our government. They're hidden everywhere. James O'Keefe, you watch this.
I want to stay and stick it out so that way when the time comes, I can undo whatever's been done. But I can be influenced.
A Pentagon director of business operations admits to me, while disguised with nothing but a mustache, that he is sticking around to, quote, undo Trump administration policies after Trump leaves office.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they tried to do at the very beginning. They've still not rolled out. Because you have certain folks in certain positions who can slow roll things. There's a lot of times where it challenges my morals.
What are some things that you'd undo?
I would not have prayer service.
No prayer service.
I don't think there should be one specific prayer service. I was converted to schedule policy. Hopefully that's the first thing that gets undone. Because I don't like it because I'm negatively impacted by it.
He seemed like a very professional guy for most of the meeting, but eventually did speak about what his true beliefs are about the war in Iran, about the president himself, calling him a narcissist.
I think Trump is a textbook narcissist.
Wow.
And once you understand one, you understand them all.
The war in Iran is driven by, quote, one man's ego. You probably can't even tell me what your position, your opinion is on that, the war in Iran.
Yeah. It's completely stupid. It's driven based off of one man's ego.
And makes the claim the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was clearing out data contracts so they could be awarded to Palantir instead.
Most of the contracts they terminated were data related, and then they awarded Palantir a major data contract. They're friends with some of the senior folks that were contributors.
Oh yeah?
I've seen something.
At one point during the meeting, he actually said, you could be a reporter. Well, I guess he was right.
In true DC nature, you don't always reveal everything that you see.
I don't want to say too much.
I mean, you could be a news reporter.
So what's the nature of, the nature of the actual work that you do? Is it writing, consulting, or?
I oversee all corporate ops, so like HR, IT, security, so all the executive orders that come out, we read them, we figure out how we're going to implement them, how they affect the Navy.
So you're managing all that?
Yeah.
It's a big job.
Yeah.
Brandon Newsom is the Director of Business Operations at the Office of the Secretary of the Navy, located in the Pentagon. He told me, while I was undercover, that he is responsible for implementing executive orders from President Trump with regards to the U.S. Navy. We met for dinner at a bar in Washington, D.C., and while we were on this supposed date, on the television was the U.S. versus Belgium game at the World Cup.
The situation looked under control until it wasn't.
You follow the World Cup at all? I've seen bits and pieces of different games, but not really
Rooting for the USA, or?
I mean, yeah.
Belgium. I think they're playing in Seattle right now. Do you see how Trump overturned the red card recently?
I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. Nah, bro, I have the Trump card. I win.
So that's an example of like just the despotic, just tyrannical like thing that he does that just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I am not a supporter by any stretch.
Of Trump?
Yeah.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Now, before we show you what happened, it may not entirely be a bad thing. that there are long-term employees in government agencies that help keep things a bit more centered, so to speak. It helps keep us from swinging too far to the extreme left or the extreme right with each election. There has always been a clash between long-term government employees and elected political appointees. As James Madison said in Federalist number 37, stability in government is essential to national character and to the advantages annexed to it, as well as to that repose and confidence in the minds of the people. The modern federal civil service created a structure in which public servants could remain across administrations. Political appointees need experienced civil service to carry out their policies. Government employment should be based upon competence rather than loyalty. If every 4 years everybody gets replaced when the pendulum swings violently back and forth, depending upon who is the president, every election could produce what James Madison warned against: a frequent change of measures arising from a frequent change of people. On the other hand, what our hidden cameras continue to capture is what some call the deep state, the administrative state, some of whom have security clearances, telling me, while I'm not even that well disguised, that they have open hostility towards those who they work for, and hinting they intend to secretly sabotage, undermine, or work against a duly elected administration. Let me be clear. This report is not meant to vilify Brandon Newsom. But we do think what he said, the public has a right to know. How long have you been in D.C.?
About 16 years.
16 years. You haven't lost your soul? How did you manage that?
I don't know. Stay trying to.
As a civil servant for over 15 years, Brandon Newsom is very cautious at first about what comes out of his mouth. There is an extreme irony here, with Newsom acknowledging the guy sitting across from him could be a news reporter, while simultaneous to that acknowledgement, he tells the person sitting across from him all the things he does not want shared.
And through the extreme nature, you don't always reveal everything you see.
I see. You don't want to say too much.
I mean, you could be a news reporter.
I do work in the publications business, but it's not exactly news. It's graphic and design, mostly. We should note that Brandon Newsom is obviously not related to California Governor Gavin Newsom, a point he reiterates. Your last name is Newsom. Yep. Like the governor, like Gavin, spelled exactly the same.
My uncle Gavin.
He's not really your uncle.
When I lived in LA, I said he was.
That must have impressed people.
It actually didn't, because I used to work for the LA OBIDEN and they hated us.
Why did they hate him?
A lot of Californians are not happy with Gavin. He hasn't done well for the economy.
You have to keep your views quiet.
Yeah, you're actually not even supposed to discuss any of that with.
You're not allowed to talk about how's that not a violation of your rights and your.
I forget which law it is, but there's a law that says that government employees are not supposed to discuss that.
Oh. The law that Brandon refers to is known as the Hatch Act. It's designed to keep partisan politics out of government business and discussion, so Brandon can have political opinions like the rest of you. But he can't act or speak on them while working in his official role at the Pentagon.
I mean, I think most people know where my opinions are, but I just don't vocalize them.
You don't vocalize them.
Like, Trump is no indication of where my political views would ever lie.
Again, there's nothing wrong with what Brandon said, but it does set up what happens next. There's a whole science behind eliciting information out of people.
We leverage online dating platforms like Hinge, Bumble, or Tinder.
And so you match with someone undo after the people who see it. So that's interesting. That's a good point.
Because I'd rather be in a position so that I can do what's right. I don't have a legal leg to stand on at the moment. So if I don't do what she's told, I'll get fired and I'll just get replaced.
But that's a good point. You could just undo everything once Trump's out of it.
Yeah.
Do you have the authority to do that?
I don't have the authority to do that, but I have the influence.
Now we wonder what Brandon means by this. By emphasizing his influence rather than his lawful authority, Brandon's remark raises the possibility he intends to use his informal power within the Pentagon to undermine or reverse policies outside of the normal democratic process. But on the other hand, if a Democratic president takes over in 2028, wouldn't they reverse these policies anyway? The Director of Business Operations goes on to elaborate on one of the Secretary's recent actions at the Pentagon that he'd be eager to undo. What are some things that you'd undo? One or two.
I would not have prayer service.
No prayer service. Why not?
I don't think there should be one specific prayer service, even though I believe I'm Christian.
So you take that away once Trump gets out of this?
I would either take it away or I would implement a prayer service for all religions that are recognized.
And they don't do that now. Only Christianity. Well, looks like you're going to stay in for the long haul and then rewind all these crazy things. Brandon Newsom mentions that it seems as though the Pentagon's higher-ups take notice of those who attend the prayer service or opt out of them, seemingly claiming that they're keeping tabs on employee participation, possibly for favoritism or discrimination purposes.
The way they implemented the prayer service is almost like if you're not there, people are noticing who's there and who's not there.
Mm-hmm. They're noticing who's not showing up. Right. So what happens if someone is missing from these? Are they judged by their Christian colleagues? It's a strange sentiment we couldn't help but notice. And to clarify, the Pentagon Memorial Chapel is a 24-hour interfaith space for prayer for all religions. Pete Hegseth said in May of 2025 that his prayer service is something they intend to do monthly on a volunteer basis in the chapel. Critics claim the Secretary's sponsorship using the official Pentagon venue risked turning it into a government endorsement. Quote, agencies should allow one or more employees to engage in individual or communal religious expressions in both formal and informal settings alone or with fellow employees, so long as such expressions do not occur during on-duty time. So Hegseth's Christian prayer service that Brandon Newsom seeks to overturn isn't the only service of its kind. And Hegseth didn't have some exclusive right or power to establish it as Newsom seems to suggest. It is already possible for employees of any religion to establish their own prayer service. Another policy that Brandon Newsom suggests he would like to undo is what's called the schedule policy. Now we're going to get into the weeds here, but this is important. This refers to Executive Order 14410, implementing schedule career in the expected service, signed last month. Schedule policy is a Trump administration civil service classification that moves career policy influencing jobs into the expected service. The executive order, reclassifies approximately 8,000 career civil servants, largely at or above the GS-15 level. This guy is a GS-15 employee, the highest pay scale. By removing these positions from competitive service, they lose standard civil service job protections, making it easier for the administration to fire them if they deem them unaligned with Trump's priorities. On the White House website, they justify this move, claiming, quote, the president relies on subordinates in the executive branch to help him faithfully execute the laws and advance the priorities for which he was elected by the American people. Therefore, ensuring that such employees can be removed for misconduct or poor performance is essential to protecting democratic self-government by an elected president. Now, the Trump administration argues this is to create accountability. Unions and critics say it makes the officials easier to fire for political reasons and dissent. Reuters reported recently that unions sued over this policy.
There's the thing of, like, I was converted to schedule policy, which means all of my protections as an employee have been stripped away. Hopefully that's the first thing that gets that done.
Is that like a right-wing policy? Because they're trying to why do they want to do that?
They did that so that they could hold folks accountable.
Okay.
And
it's like a Doge thing?
Not really. It was about accountability, which I understand it, because in your senior levels of government, you have that impenetrable force that can slow roll things. And so it's all about getting your agenda to pass through. And if they don't do it, they fire you. Okay, I get it. So don't disagree with it. I don't like it because I'm negatively impacted by it. But smart business. If you're really doing it to hold folks accountable, you're going to remove the protections of more than just that top rung of folks.
Yeah, we got a lot of enemies from within. Well, you guys, please like and subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to actually do another video tomorrow, so I will see you on Saturday. Remember, no matter what life throws your way, you still have potential. God bless you, and God bless America.